Good evening and welcome in to our Thursday night live from the lily pad. You sort of joined me as I was very busy playing around with our project of the week and the things that we're going to be using today. I was just sort of starting with I wonder what happens is if type strain of thought, and then suddenly looked at the clock and thought I shouldn't be here pondering what happens if. I should be going live. So, good evening. My name is Helen Jennings. I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK. And on a Thursday evening, I come on live to do a little bit of crafting with you. So whether you're eating your tea, finished your tea, whether you're elsewhere in the world and it's a totally different time of the day, then welcome. Do pop on if you come on live and say hello, or even if you're joining me at a later time, do pop in and say hello. Let me know where you're joining me from. Do share out these videos. It's always lovely to get new people joining us from all around the world. So let's have a little talk about what it is that we're playing with today. I'm just going to pop the top on these ink pads so that I don't rest my catalogue in them, because that will be a bit of a gooey mess. So our project of the week this week is this Friend Like You bundle. We've moved away from Christmas for a week because it's been my birthday week this week. I had a birthday on, Tuesday. So I thought we'd do something a little bit un-Christmassy this week. We'd have something a bit more birthday-ish. So this was a bundle that particularly caught my eye when the catalogue first came out. And it consists of this really lovely Friend Like You stamp set that you can build up these scenes and things with. And a lovely coordinating die set that goes with it, which I will share with you in just a second. And on Monday, when we cased the catalogue, we actually had to go at making this little card here, and here is our card in real life. So really quite a pretty little card, quite pastel-y colours. So we enjoyed making that on Monday morning. If you haven't caught up with that, you can either find it here on my Facebook page, or you can follow the links to my YouTube channel and go and see them there, and you'll find all my recent Facebook Lives uploaded to YouTube, including the Back to Basics ones. And I am on a bit of a campaign to try and up my subscriber numbers on my YouTube. I'd really like to be able to have a link from my YouTube that mentions Love-a-Duckie, to have that sort of so that it's that branding and that keeping it the same across the board. But in order to be able to do that, I need to have 100 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So I've had a few sign up today. I think 5 people have signed up today since I posted earlier and said please do go on and like my YouTube channel. So do go over and subscribe to that. And help me see if I can get those numbers up to 100. And it is my plan over the coming year to start putting some more exclusive content onto that YouTube channel, so things that you don't find on Facebook. So it will be worthwhile having that clicked, subscribing to that as well, so that you know when there's new things gone on there. So yes, so that's by the by. You'll be able to find the video on Monday on my YouTube channel as well as here on the Facebook page. But this is the project of the week that we're going to be playing with. Let's have a little look at it in a bit more detail. As you can see, I'm literally playing with it as we speak. So let's dig about and find the box for the stamp set. Here it is, Friend Like You. So you've got some really nice sentiments. Life is so good with a friend like you. Enjoy the little things. Happy day. Here's to celebrating you. And then you've got these sort of 2-step stamps. So you've got the bottom of your reeds with the heads there, and then you've got these sort of grasses here with the flowers here, and that was it was those meadow flowers that we used on Monday with our Stamparatus. You've also got these palm trees in there as well, and the dragonflies, and then you've got a set of dies that go with it. And the dies consist of these 3 sort of long dies. You see I've been cutting something out with that one, and we'll go back to that in a minute. So you've got the long die with the palm trees, you've got this sort of strip of meadowy flowers, you've got the strip of reeds, or it could be reeds, they could be sort of like wheat in a field, it could be harvesty, and then you've got the little die that cuts out the dragonflies. So that's the bundle that we're playing with, and as you can see in front of me here, I was just having a little bit of a play with some of those stamps. So this was that watery effect stamp, this is the bulrushes, so this is the reedy part of them, and then the heads there that I've stamped into so saffron. I've put in a couple of dragonflies. I've inked around the edge with some balmy blue. I was just thinking that that would make quite a nice little note card. So let's have a look. Let's make this a little thank you card, because that's a nice. The note cards are a lovely little size for sending a thank you to somebody. You don't want necessarily a huge, great big card, but a nice little card popped in the post just to say thank you so very much is really sweet. So we'll put that thank you for being there for me on that block. That's a bit wonky. Let's lie it down first. Lying it down means that the stamp settles into its sort of natural position and you're able just to pick it up. So we'll just need to add on a thanks, and I think we'll do that in the green, in the pear pizzazz. So let's pick that up. And we'll stamp that top corner just there like that. And that's a very simple stamped card. Hashtag simple stamping. I would just need to find a little bit of a coloured base to go underneath that, and a little note card to pop it on, and we'd soon have a really lovely simple little thank you card. Perhaps a couple of little sequins or something to go on there just to add a bit of sparkle, and that would be lovely. But I'll finish that one off later and I will post a picture of that when I've finished. But as I say, that was just literally me playing around and suddenly realised what the time was, and I should stop playing around and get on with the job in hand, which is joining you all for this Facebook Live. So let's just clean those stamps up. I've remembered to wet my Simply Chamois today. We'll give those all a clean, and this sentiment one. So I've actually been out for a birthday lunch today with my sister, so I haven't been here most of the afternoon to get things prepared. So once again, we're flying by the seat of our pants, but it adds a bit of excitement to life, doesn't it? Put in these stamps away so we don't lose them, particularly the little bits. Let's have those 2 little dragonflies, pop them back in. So we're ready to go again. So put these ink pads to one side because I don't think I need those at the moment. So I thought the first card we would do, we'd have a little bit of a play with the palm trees, and I'm not really quite sure how this is going to go, but I was cutting these out earlier just to see what they did, because, you know, I wanted to know, did they cut out a complete palm tree, did they cut a hole? So let's have a little play, and we will together look at what these little dies and things do. For that, now it's popped out. So I have here a square card that I've created. So I've created a 5-inch square card. So I've taken a piece of A4 thick whisper white, and I've cut it at 5 inches wide, 10 inches long, and scored it at 5 inches. If you wanted to do that as a metric equivalent, probably the easiest would be to do it at about 12.5 centimetres. It would make it slightly smaller, but but would still give you that similar sort of size card without starting to get into weird fractions of centimetres, which is never good. So that's our 5-inch card base. And here as well I have got a piece of Sahara sand, a piece of balmy blue and a little piece of Whisper White card. So I think what we're going to do first is we're going to take our die and we're going to die cut our balmy blue card with our palm tree die. I want it to come down on a little bit of an angle. Let's bring in our big shot. Excuse me while I'm fiddling about just a moment. So we're going to have this so that it comes down. Sorry, apologies. Let's just knock the sound off on my phone. We'll have our tree coming down on a bit of an angle like this. Let's get our top plate and we'll run that through. And we'll go back for good measure. So what we get is all the little palm leaves come out of there. On this bit that's left over you get sort of a couple of trunks with odd little bits of leaves stuck on, so you could obviously just snip that off if you wanted to. Snip off those tree trunks, and actually I think that's what we perhaps will do with our Sahara sand card. So to make sure that we're getting the same on there, and take away that bit of blue. Got some tiny bits of purple tape stuck on here. I have got some more. Oh, now I've moved it. That's frustrating, isn't it? Let's get a bit more purple tape. So let's put our blue card on there. Line up our die back in the gap. That's that. And then stick that die there. Actually it won't matter if that stays on there, you can go through together. We'll take that through there and bring it back. Off that tape and that top bit of card. Then we'll take our scissors and we will just snip off those tree trunks. And move our big shot to one side for now. We shall want it again in a little while. So now we've got our palm trees in the sky with our sand below. Our white card base. I need to trim that up a little bit. I think what we'll do is we'll trim a little bit off the edge of this card. So it currently is, I think, 12 centimetres. Let's make it 11.5. Oh, do apologise, beating you up with the trimmer. So we have our tree, that's a bit better, gives it a bit more slightly even border around. We have our sand, we have our tree in the sky, we have our white card underneath. So what we really want is to add a little bit of colour to those palm trees. So what I have got here is I've got a granny apple green and a soft suede sponge and some daubers. Let's take, oh no, that's not a pencil that's functioning. Let's take a pencil. I'm going to put a little mark at the top of these tree and the bottom of the tree, like that. So I know that if I take my sponge dauber now, I can put some colour between those pencil marks, and hopefully that will colour our trunks. And then if we come above it, looks very odd on here, but hopefully that will quite nicely colour our trees and flowers, trees and leaves, tree trunks and leaves underneath. About like that. That would work quite well, won't it? Just going to bring this green down a little bit on this side. And perhaps bring it over a little bit on this side. Brilliant. Okay. So we're now ready to take our snail. Stick that in place just there. Then we'll take our Sahara sand piece. Hi Amanda. And we'll stick that in place just there. So now we have our coloured palm trees sitting, oh, I've managed to blob a bit of green on there, sitting on their sandy shore. Now let's have a look and decide what greeting we would like to add into that mix. What safe place have I put my stamp set? Should we have life is so good with a friend like you? Let's get our big block out. I hope that your Macmillan cake sale went well, Amanda, and that you made lots of pennies. So I think we will use our soft suede. We'll bring that down there. There. That's a very clean and simple card, isn't it? But actually I quite like that. I don't know that I'm going to add anything else to it. It is very clean and simple. And perfect if you, particularly if you wanted to send it to a male friend. Brilliant. So we've got This little one we're going to make up into a note card. We've got this little one that's just a nice little palm tree, and then the other one we're going to make a bit more fuss over. I need to keep a little bit more of eye on the light to make sure we don't get too dark. It has become quite overcast outside. I'm hoping we're not going to have a sudden downpour of rain. Now, let's grab out these little bits and pieces I've got in here. So as you can see, we're working up to something a bit more extravagant here. Let's pop that out the way. And that, I think. So I thought what we would do is we'd do a little bit of spooshing. Now what I haven't checked is my water levels. We might get away with it. If not, I'll have to run to the sink. So let's take, no, we're going to take this big block. And I have got here, let's clean this up on our Simply Chamois. There we go. I have got here one of the biggest blocks. So obviously we do lots of different size acrylic blocks. This is the biggest of the family. And I have got some Stampin' Right markers. So I have got Pacific Point, I've got Rich Raspberry, I've got Melon Mambo, I've got some Granny Apple Green, and I've got some Call Me Clover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the thick end. So with these markers, you've got a thin stripe one end and a thick stripe the other, and that indicates that that is your fine tip and this is your brush marker. So I'm going to take the brush marker and I'm just going to scribble a bit of stripe of colour all the way across that block, and I want this to be fairly bright and mad. So let's have a bit of Rich Raspberry now, and we'll scribble some of that across here, and where those colours meet they will blend a little bit. So that's a bit of Rich Raspberry. Let's take a bit of Melon Mambo now. We'll scribble, scribble, scribble. Melon Mambo. It's looking as if that's getting, oh no, there is some colour still coming out of it. Looking as if it might want replacing. Then we'll have some Granny Apple Green. And then right down here on the bottom we'll have some Call Me Clover. Right, so now I'm going to take my spritzer and I'm going to give this a good spritz. And you can see with the water how that has made the ink all sort of bubble and come up onto the surface. And then I'm going to take a piece of Whisper White card, lay that down, turn this over, thinking about where I want that to go. I'm just going to press that down on there, and you can see where that card has gone and sucked up all that inky water. So apologies that you're being shaken about a little bit. Now let's take that off. Oh, that's rather lovely, isn't it? There is some, let's see if we can just transfer a bit more of this edge along there. clean up this mat, and we'll clean up our block. That's that. I'm going to take my heat gun, just going to put it on the first setting and just give this a little bit of a dry, because obviously we had quite a bit of water on that block. You can of course wiggle your block round and make it sort of mix the colours up a little bit more. You don't have to do them in stripes, you can have them blobs going across the card, just depending on what sort of an effect you want. I was sort of after a vaguely sort of sunsetish colouring scheme, which is why I've gone for those stripes and bits of blue and purple with the green on the bottom. I could have gone a lot darker, but I wanted them to be quite bright. And this is another of those techniques that you're never really going to know what you're going to get until you get it. So that's fairly dry. So what I'm going to do now is, here I have a little stencil that I've made, and I've simply made this stencil by taking a variety of circle punches and punching them out of a piece of plastic, random piece of plastic that I had in my craft room. And we're going to do a little bit of a bokeh technique. Now, if you've never heard of the bokeh, it is actually based on, it's a Japanese term, a photography term actually, originally, and it's when you get sort of that lights, if you've got photographs that are slightly out of focus, and you get sort of like the light effect with the circles on, and that's the sort of effect that we're after. So we're using different shaped circles, and we're overlapping them, and I'm using some of our white craft pigment ink and a piece of our stamping sponge, and we're just going to build up. So that little one there, I'm just going to put a brighter dot of white in the middle of there, and we'll have another one coming here, the one coming up here. So you just keep working away at it, building up your circles, building up your effects on there. You will get a bit of blurring. I'm going to pop my overlight light on. I don't know whether that's going to help or hinder. I'm very aware that it suddenly feels as if it's getting quite dark outside. You obviously don't want to cover up the whole thing. Have a little dot just there. Have one coming off the edge just here. But you get that sort of bubbly effect, and this ink, as it dries, does dry slightly paler. And then you've got that sort of bokeh effect going on in the background. There we go. So to add on to that, so we'll leave that to one side for a minute and let that ink, because it is pigment ink, it will take a little while to dry, and we might possibly need to give that a bit of a blast as well with the heat tool. Just going to wipe my fingers on my Simply chamois because they are very white inky. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to die cut I think the Flowery Meadow die, but we're going to cut that in black card. And somewhere, yep, I've got a little piece of black card there that is perfect for the job. Let me turn this round so that the handle is in front of me. I've got my wire for my microphone all tangled up. So let's put that on there. Let's get our other half of our sandwich. Make up our sandwich to go through our machine. And take that through. Bring it back. It looks as if it's cut beautifully. We'll just tease that out. Let me move the big shot out of the way. And then I'll find my paper snips. We'll snip that. That is going to be longer than we need it to be, so we are going to be trimming that down in a little while. Let's just, I could find my pokey tool, but as I've got my paper snips in my hand, let's just take out those sort of last minute landlock pieces that haven't come out. These are really lovely dies. And actually you could do quite a lot with the top as well. So we have our bokeh effect background, and I think we'll have a little piece of that green sticking out the bottom as we stick that on there. A bit like that. Yes, I think so. Let's take some Tombow and we will just add. Oh, we didn't want that much, did we? Suddenly coming out in great blobs, which is not what we want it to do. We'll sort that in a minute. Just put little bits on. And then I'm going to take, I've got an extra piece of card there. Let's take some of that off. Really don't want that much. Add in some little bits here and there. I think that will do the trick. That one there might have a bit too much on as well. Let's take that off. Suddenly decided to be quite blobby. We'll take that excess off, otherwise it's going to squidge out when we put it down. So we're going to have a little bit of the green showing at the bottom. Take that across to that edge, wiggle wiggle, if anything I've moved that further away, about like that I would think. We'll bring this down here like that, and then we'll press that down. Pop that over, snip off that excess. And there we have our beautiful black silhouetted meadow. And we're going to back that onto a piece of black cardstock. I think this one is on its final last leg, and it's almost like the last little drops of glue are bursting out from the bottle. Then I've got a really bright pink Melon Mambo card base to pop it up onto. But I think before we do that, we might want to stamp a greeting on it. So what have we had? Let's have a enjoy the little things. There is another stamp that goes with that that says, and everything else will work out. So you could have that on the inside if you were sending this to somebody that was in need of a little bit of encouragement during a tough time. I'm going to ink this up with some stays on because we've got we've used water on there, we've got our white chalk ink on there. I think a bit of stays on will be better, and the other thing I'm going to do is get a foam mat just to pop underneath there because we have got a photopolymer stamp. So let's stamp that on there. Enjoy the little things. That hasn't come out as dark as I'd liked it to. So I think what we might do in that case, let's have a little look. This is one of the things that we do, don't we, when popping my main light on. One of the things we do when you've got a bit of a that's not quite worked out how I want it to, we look for alternatives. Now I don't know whether that stamp set will fit in there. Not really quite the right shape. So excuse me while I'm playing around with punches and things till we find the one we're looking for. The one that's going to work. What about this one? Is that going to be big enough? No, it's not wide enough. It needs to be wider than that. I think I'm going to go with a circle punch. Yes, because that will go with our circles of our bokeh dots. So let's ink this up again. And it may have been that there was so much going on underneath that it made it a little bit difficult to get a good solid image. The answer to that would of course have been to have done it on my Stamparatus, and then that would not have been a problem at all. So that was the 1 3/4 inch punch. So I'm now going to grab my 2-inch punch and a little scrap of black card. just like that. And I may actually use that to cover up a little bit of that where it's not quite so inky in that top corner. A bit like that. Let's have a little look. Let's pop that onto our main card. Beautiful. And I think the other thing we'll do is take, this is where we're on the hoof, adding in extra elements as we go along. And that's what happens when things don't go quite right. You don't abandon it, you work with it. So let's take some Melon Mambo ink, and I'm going to sponge up the edge of that little circle just to give that a bit of colour. Like that. Excellent. Let's pop that up there on there with some dimensionals. We'll take a couple of these edge bits. We'll stick our white circle to our black circle. We'll put a couple of dimensionals on the back of our black circle. And it just goes to show you never give up. Something doesn't go quite right. What's the workaround? And here's our workaround. We're going to have that go on there. That will sit on that corner. Just there. And then I think I'm going to see, let's have a look. I'm just going to cut a couple of little black dragonflies and see what they look like. So I'm just going to run that through the big shot. I'm sure you don't really need me to see me run that through the big shot. Oh, they're very cute. And we'll just have a couple of little dragonflies, and I think we'll pop them up on some dimensionals as well. We've got one there, and we'll have one just there. Ooh, am I fancying that on an angle? Do we want it to go on straight, or do we want it on a bit of a wonky angle? I'm quite liking it on a bit of an angle, I think. So let's do that. Let's put it on a bit of an angle with our splurgy glue. It really is on these last legs, and I always keep them upside down, and so when I know that they're getting on their last legs, I take them out of the box that I take to classes and things and have them upside down in my basket on my desk. So all that glue is obviously sitting right in the end, just waiting to pop out. The other thing I am going to do is I'm going to, if I can find it, let me put my lid back on my StazOn so that doesn't dry out, because we don't want to leave that too long without its lid. Looking to see if my adhesive rubber is to hand. I've had that today. I I've obviously put it back in a safe place, so I will go back in at some point when it's dry and just take off this excess adhesive that's sitting on this edge just here. So there we have, you've got your bokeh technique in the background, and you see those lovely circles. You've got your smooshing background, so your bokeh technique has sort of taken it down a little bit, so they were really bright to start with. We've added in our circles of white craft ink for our bokeh technique on the top, and then we've just used our black to die cut the silhouettes of these meadow flowers and dragonflies, and we've got enjoy the little things. So beautiful. So what have we got then? Let's have a little look. We have got our bright silhouette card. We have our very clean and simple beach card with our sponged palm trees peeping out from underneath that die cut palm trees. We've got this little card here that I'm going to make up into a note card. I think I will sit just having a look in my little Oh, I don't know now, you see. Let's have a little look. See, I'm continuing to play. I can't leave it alone. Let's keep going. Let's finish this baby. Let's have find a piece of all of my scraps I keep in these Polly Pocket bags. I seem to have quite a lot of card bases in Pear Pizzazz. That's more what we want. So some Pear Pizzazz. The other colour I used was some So Saffron. Let's see if we can find a piece of So Saffron. Yep. So card is 4.5 by 3. Let's have some yellow. That is 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. So that will just have a bit of yellow peeping out underneath. And then we'll have some green, some of the Pear Pizzazz. That is 5 by 3 1/2. That's looking rather sweet, isn't it? See, I'm glad I didn't just leave it there. Let's have a little look. Have we got any ribbon or oh, perhaps we'll go with some, if I can find it to hand. Some white twine. So let's take our snail. And we'll just mount our little white stamped card onto our So Saffron, and then we'll mount our So Saffron onto our Pear Pizzazz. Then I think we'll take a little bit of this white twine and we'll just wrap it round a couple of times and tie A knot, I don't think I want a bow, I think a knot will do. So again, this is a nice sort of masculine colours if you wanted to send a card, a thank you card. If you've got a male friend that's been incredibly supportive. And then I think we'll take some dimensionals to pop underneath there. So actually, although at first glance you would think that a stamp set, a bundle that says friend like you, would probably lean towards more female cards. Actually, the cards we've made this evening have probably predominantly lent towards more masculine cards, although that one could certainly be either. So here we go then. Let's move this out of the way. We've got our palm trees, we've got our really nice and bright funky bokeh technique silhouette meadow. We've got the one that I couldn't quite leave and had to finish it off, the little pond and the reeds and the dragonflies, that really nice thank you card, and all of that adds in to go with that really lovely card that we cased on Monday that's really quite feminine. Beautiful. I think I need to stick that vellum down a little bit with those sequins and gems and things on. So a real sort of variety of cards from that one bundle. It just goes to prove that you can't put anything in a box and think you know what you're going to be able to do with it. So I hope that you've enjoyed joining me this evening. I've got lots of things coming up that if you want to join me, I need sort of final bookings and things for. The retreat is fast coming upon us. That will be the 19th of October, but I really want to get the order in for the kits, for your goodie bags, by sort of this weekend, Monday at the latest, because the Stampin' Up warehouse are going to be having a stock take in the next couple of weeks, and I don't want our orders to get caught up in the stock take. So I do want to get those on the way to us. So if you would like to join us on that retreat, I still have a couple of spaces. They are filling up really fast, but I do still have a couple of spaces. Do let me know. I mean, beyond that point, it's not impossible that you can still come. It would just mean that you'd have to wait for your goodie bag if it hadn't arrived in time. But it's good to know numbers that are coming so that I can get all the bits and pieces prepared for that. So that's coming up 19th of October. Next week I have got, we have a class next Friday, which is a one sheet wonder class. They're always really popular, where you come along and you create your own 12 by 12 sheet by stamping and things onto a 12 by 12 piece of card, and then we use that sheet and cut it up to create lots of lovely cards. And this one is a Christmas one sheet wonder, so it is the festive one sheet wonder that we're going to be creating using the stars, so many stars stamp set. So it's going to be a star filled class. I found my diary. I've been scattering around looking for it on my desk. So we have so we have that one coming up, the one sheet wonder class next Wednesday. Next Tuesday evening is the Created by You. So if you like doing memory keeping and things and want to come and join us with your scrapbook albums or memory and more albums, do come along and join us for that evening. It's about coming along and having access to my craft room and being able to use inks and different coloured cards and the stamp sets and things I've got to create the pages and things that you need to create for your albums. But alternatively, it's not just about memory keeping. If you've got a special card that you want to make and you want to come along and make that and use things from my craft room and just generally sort of share ideas and get advice, then that is also the evening waiting for you to come along and do that. So that's the Created by You class next Tuesday evening, One Sheet Wonder on Wednesday afternoon, and then next Friday, so a week tomorrow, is the Sail Away album. And I have started, I've been working on mine today. So there's a little bit of a quick sneaky peek of it. So you end up with a sort of just over 6x6 album that you can either use to put your photographs and things in, or you can use as a perpetual calendar, so to remember all your birthdays and all those sorts of things. So whichever you want to make it is entirely up to you. You can either make it, say, perpetual calendar, or you can make it into a memory book. So do come and join us to do that a week on Friday. If you would like to do that, that will actually be Friday morning, 10 till 12:30. If you would like to join us for that, again, let me know so I can make sure that I've got your kit all ready. And then what else have we got coming up? We've got the retreat. And the other thing I've got coming up is the Facebook Live class. Now I'm going to do my first ever sort of online class. So wherever you are in the UK, if you let me know by this weekend, I will order you a kit and get that out in the post to you. And it will be using the Christmas Memory and More pack. Let me just find that for you. So I will send you out a kit that includes the, some of the Memory and More cards. It will include papers. It will include cards and envelopes. So it's using this Night Before Christmas suite. So you'll get some of the Memory and More cards. You'll get some of the paper. You'll get a pack of the cards. You'll get some of the ribbon. So you'll get lots of bits and pieces in your pack that I will send out to you in your kit. Then on the 30th of October at 7 o'clock, for everybody that has bought the kit from me, I will give you a link into an exclusive Facebook group where we will have a 2-hour live crafting. So I think how that will work is we'll probably do sort of 45 minutes or so, have a bit of a tea break, and then come back and do another sort of 45 minutes or so. So I've got 2 hours booked out in my diary to do an online in a Facebook group class, and the idea is that I will be creating projects with my kit. You can craft along with me if you want to do it live. You can just watch what I'm doing and go back in and make your cards at a later date. You know, do a bit of both, because you will then have access to those videos. You'll be able to go back in and watch them again, you know, rewind, whatever you need to do, and you'll have lots of things left over in your kit to create more things. So that's very exciting. So that's my first online class that I've been able to do. So if you live in the UK but don't live very near, so I've never been able to do a class with me, this is your opportunity. So do get in touch. You can go onto my website at www.love-a-duckie.co.uk, and you can book your place on that class directly on my website. If you're struggling with that, then do get in touch with me, and I will help you out. So there we are. There's my website. www.love-a-duckie.co.uk, and I'm aware that light is shining in exactly the wrong space for you to be able to read that. Is that a little bit better? So yeah, do come and join me. It would be lovely to have you, as I say, and I need your orders in by this weekend so that I can order the kits, get them packed up, get them sent out to you so that you've got them in your hand ready to join me on that evening to do some crafting of your own. So that's all exciting things that are coming up, and do also look out, because the 1st to the 2nd of November is when we're going to be doing our 24-hour craftathon. So I'm sure that in the very next little while you'll start to see Just Giving pages and things popping up. So do support us in that. I'm going to be raising money for the Golden Years charity, which is a local charity that supports the recycled teenagers in the area and make sure that they get to go out and do some really lovely things. And if you follow their Facebook page, they get up to all sorts of adventures. And they certainly prove that age is no barrier to doing whatever it is that you want to do. And so I would love to support them in continuing to do that. So thank you for joining me this evening. Thank you for crafting along. I hope you've enjoyed those projects. If you fancy that stamp set and dies for yourself so that you can have a go, then do follow the links to my online shop. If you live here in the UK, you don't have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I would love to help you out. So, and don't forget to go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's see how quickly we can get the subscribers on my YouTube channel up to 100, and that doesn't matter where in the world you are living. So thank you, and have a really lovely weekend. I'm going to go and have my dinner now, and I will be back on Monday morning when I think we will be reverting to a little bit more Christmas next week. So I will see you for that on Monday morning.